Right now on Morning News Now, crucial deadline. Today marks 60 days since the war with Iran began. Technically, that means it's time for President Trump to seek approval from Congress under the War Powers Act, but congressional leaders appear willing to let it slide.
Right now, we're trying to broker a peace, and I would be very reluctant to get in front of the administration in the midst of these very sensitive negotiations.
But those negotiations appear to be at a standstill, the Trump administration rejecting the latest proposal from Iran, while Americans continue to face the impact every time they go to the gas station. We will bring you the very latest. Wrapping up a record shutdown, thousands of federal workers now expecting to see paychecks this month. The House voting to fund the Department of Homeland Security for the first time in more than 70 days. Why the standoff finally ended, and other headlines from Capitol Hill coming up. Plus, royal send-off. Charles and Camilla wrapping up their first trip to the U.S. as king and queen. Highlights from their visit and how President Trump sent off the monarchs in what he's calling the greatest king in my book. And finally, yeah, you know what that sound means. It's time for a horse race. Tomorrow is the running of the 152nd Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs, kicking off the fight for the coveted Triple Crown. So don your hats or fasteners and make those juleps. We're gearing up for the best 2 minutes in sports. Good morning, good to have you with us on this Friday. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah's on assignment, and you'll see where she is later this hour. Let's begin with a focus on the war with Iran as month number 3 gets underway. The U.S. and Israel actually started striking Iran on February 28th, but today marks 60 days since President Trump formally notified Congress about the U.S. military action. Despite the ceasefire that began on April 7th, the 1973 War Powers Resolution says the president has to remove military forces from conflict within 60 days if Congress does not authorize the war before that deadline. Well, now, as the U.S. military maintains its blockade on Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz, Republicans are rejecting that deadline for Congress to intervene. Well, on Capitol Hill, Trump administration officials are defending the controversial operation, with polls showing it's an unpopular war. NBC News Washington correspondent Alice Barr joins us now from the nation's capital with the latest. Alice, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. And here's where we are this morning. Negotiations are hung up, with Iran pushing to separate nuclear talks from the fate of the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump says that is a no-go. And now, even as the administration works to find a path to peace, top Republicans are insisting we're not at war. 60 days into the war with Iran, a fragile ceasefire is holding, though American warships are on patrol, enforcing a blockade of Iranian ports. While on Capitol Hill, Republican leadership is blocking a vote to curb President Trump's war powers, despite a deadline today for congressional approval.
I don't think we have any active kinetic military bombing, firing, anything like that. Right now, we're trying to broker a peace, and I would be very reluctant to get in front of the administration in the midst of these very sensitive negotiations.
A 1973 law outlines that the president must stop and remove military forces from conflict if Congress doesn't authorize a war within 60 days. Pressed by NBC's Ryan Noble, Speaker Johnson said we're not at war. Again, citing the ceasefire. A senior administration official gave the same reasoning, telling NBC News hostilities terminated when the ceasefire began. Democrats reject that.
Being in the region, not engaged actively in kinetic force or kinetic action isn't what the law says. After 60 days, he has 30 days to withdraw.
Talks are stalled over a broader peace deal.
They want to make a deal badly. We have a problem because nobody knows for sure who the leaders are.
And with shipping through the vital Strait of Hormuz still choked off, gas prices keep pushing higher. President Trump offering assurances while acknowledging the conflict continues.
The gas will go down. As soon as the war's over, it'll drop like a rock.
Back on Capitol Hill, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth again defending the war and a new $1.5 trillion defense budget request for 2027, heavily criticized by Democrats.
And that funding request is partially to replace weapons used in the wars so far, though Secretary Hegseth also pointed to weapons that were sent to Ukraine under the last administration. The Pentagon now says the war with Iran has cost roughly $25 billion up to this point. Joe?
All right, Alice, thank you. Let's bring in NBC News military analyst Colonel Steve Warren, who's been with us throughout the past 60 days, helping us understand what's happening. Colonel, good to have you with us again this morning. A lot of fireworks at these congressional hearings, but they are supposed to be where Americans can get some answers about what's happening. So setting aside the political theater, from a military standpoint, do you feel like we're learning anything new about the state of the war in these hearings or what the plan is moving forward?
Joe, thanks, and it's great to be here with you. I think the most important thing we learned from the Secretary's hearings yesterday and the day prior is the cost of this war, right? He publicly stated, the Secretary Hegseth publicly stated this war has cost so far about $25 billion. That, I think, is the biggest piece of takeaway that we've had so far. There was some back and forth about other things, other aspects of this thing, particularly whether or not the War Powers Act needs to be invoked. But generally speaking, I think that was our biggest takeaway, Joe.
So, Colonel, what has the U.S. accomplished in these 60 days? And I'll ask you the question, are we at war?
Yeah, well, so we've accomplished a lot. So the good news is we have accomplished, I think, quite a bit, right? The Iranian Navy has been significantly reduced. The Iranian missile capability, same. The Iranian military, their ability to project force outside their borders, significantly reduced. That said, it hasn't been eliminated. The good news is Iranians' capabilities are reduced. The bad news is we have not yet been able to open this strait. Is it a war? Well, you know, a lot of times I like to tell folks it's everybody's at war when they're in it, right? So I think the troops that are there in the strait right now would tell you that they feel like they're at war. Whether or not the politicians and Congress and others characterize it that way is a completely different matter. But I will tell you one thing, Joe, those troops, they feel like they're in war.
Colonel, if the U.S. has reached what amounts to a stalemate in the war with Iran, just from a military readiness perspective, how long can the U.S. keep this up? And maybe perhaps the larger question is, do we have an idea how long Iran can keep this up?
Right. So two things. Number one, with the problem, or maybe it's the good thing, it's always hard to know, with a blockade is it takes a while for the effects to be felt inside of the blockaded nation, in this case, Iran. So it will take some time for the squeeze, for the pinch to really start being felt inside of Iran. That's just the nature of this type of warfare, blockade warfare. The United States can sustain, we have the military force to sustain this blockade, frankly, just about indefinitely. It's only, frankly, using about 10% of our naval capabilities. The other 90% remains deployed around the world, conducting operations on behalf of the United States of America. So this is a blockade that we can sustain long term. The question really is political. How long can gas prices continue to go up, et cetera, Joe?
Colonel Warren, always good to have you with us. Thank you so much. Now, lawmakers are leaving Washington for a week without curbing the president's ability to wage war on Iran. Last night, a majority of Senate Republicans rejected Democrats' efforts to remove American forces from the conflict. Speaking before the vote, California Senator Adam Schiff, a Democrat, dismissed the idea posed by Republican leaders that under the current ceasefire, the U.S. is not at war and therefore Congress does not need to weigh in.
Now, some might argue that because we're not currently bombing Iran, because there is a tentative ceasefire in place, that somehow the War Powers Act no longer applies. But this is simply not true. Our service members are still at risk. The law says, quote, the president shall terminate any use of the United States Armed Forces.
NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen joins me now with more on this. John, good morning. So was there anything different about this latest vote addressing the war? And is it clear if the president and Republicans just plan to ignore this 60-day deadline now?
Good morning, Joe. The one clear difference was that Susan Collins, Republican of Maine, voted with the Democrats. That's a change for her in her position. She joined Rand Paul, senator from Kentucky, as the other Republican to join Democrats in voting for this war powers resolution. And the big change for her that anyone knows of is that she lost one of her potential opponents yesterday. Janet Mills, the governor of Maine, dropping out of a primary and clearing the way for Graham Plattner, a progressive veteran, to become the Democratic nominee against Collins. So she figured out who her opponent was before this vote was cast. And of course, you can't necessarily attribute it entirely to that, but that was the big change in her life. And then the big change on the vote was Collins going with the Democrats.
A reminder of the shadow the midterm elections are casting on so many things happening on Capitol Hill right now. John, I also want to discuss the end of the partial government shutdown. It's 76 days. It is the longest funding lapse of a federal government in U.S. history, of a department in U.S. history. President Trump signed a bill yesterday to fund most of DHS. So how did this finally come to an end?
I mean, the real answer to that, Joe, is that they found a place where both parties are comfortable. And so that place is that the Republicans are trying to put forward a new budget resolution through reconciliation. It's a complicated process, but it means you can get past a filibuster. And what that budget resolution would do is fund ICE and Border Patrol separately from this legislation that passed last night in the House. The rest of DHS gets funded through the legislation passed in the House last night. That was done on voice vote, meaning really no objections from anybody. So Democrats and Republicans together, and now ICE and CBP will be funded separately, or at least that's the plan. They will be funded separately with the Democrats not having to vote for it.
John, we know President Trump's immigration crackdown was at the heart of this standoff we've been witnessing over these past 70-plus days between Democrats and Republicans centered on DHS funding. Democrats wanted these reforms to ICE, especially after the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. So now as we get closer to the midterms, what was actually achieved politically? Can either side claim victory here?
So even when the Republicans are able to put together this reconciliation bill I was just talking about, what happens as a result of that is that they get the opportunity to fund ICE and Border Patrol with any reforms or no reforms at all that they prefer. And so the Democrats weren't able to get that policy forward, but what the Democrats were able to get was to highlight the issue. I think they believe that if the Republicans don't make reforms to ICE and Border Patrol, that those agencies will continue to be political issues going forward. Since the killings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, there's been so much focus on how ICE and Border Patrol have conducted themselves. And the Democrats also got what I was talking about before, which is the ability to have these agencies funded without having to be the ones to vote for them. So Republicans get to keep the government moving forward. They get to keep these agencies funded if they can get the reconciliation bill done. And Democrats get a little bit of a political win there in putting the spotlight on Republican support for them.
All right, John Allen, thank you so much. The man charged with attempting to assassinate President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner will remain behind bars, at least until his case goes to trial. Cole Allen was back in federal court yesterday. He said he was not seeking to be released. His lawyers did ask the judge for less restrictive conditions at his jail. Allen is currently being held in what's known as a safe cell under 24-hour lockdown. We're also learning new details about how the attack unfolded and the Secret Service agent who was shot. NBC News Chief Justice and National Affairs correspondent Kelly O'Donnell has the latest.
New details about the suspect and the exchange of gunfire outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And just released additional crime scene images. Officials say the suspect had a respirator and ammunition labeled hollow point.
All the evidence that I've seen, the suspect shot our officer point-blank range with a shotgun. Our officer heroically returned fire while being shot point-blank range in the chest with a shotgun and was able to get off 5 shots.
Also new, the director said Allen had been wearing a protective vest.
It appeared that there was some type of tactical vest that he was wearing. So his officers again bravely removed that clothing to ensure that he did not have any other devices on him.
The ballroom incident raised alarming questions about safety with so many high-level government officials in the same packed space. But Director Curran says the security plan was, in his judgment, perfect.
The site was set up perfectly. I will tell you, I would not change the site again.
However, President Trump expressed concern that the would-be attempted assassin had access to the building as a hotel guest.
You know, when you have 1,000 rooms sitting on top of a ballroom and you have the elevators coming down right near the entrance, it's a pretty tough situation.
Our thanks to Kelly O'Donnell for that report. Allen is due back in court on May 11th. The contentious relationship between the U.S. and Venezuela could be starting a new, more harmonious chapter. For the first time in nearly a decade yesterday, a direct commercial flight from the U.S. touched down in Venezuela. It's a major political pivot for the two countries and an emotional moment for families returning home. NBC's George Solis takes us inside that first flight.
Moments after touching down in Caracas, the captain of this American Airlines flight leaned out the cockpit to wave the Venezuelan flag, signaling the first direct arrival from the U.S. in 7 years. Passengers stopping for selfies on the stairs, descending to a crowd waiting on the tarmac. The journey began just after 10 a.m. in Miami, where emotional passengers lined up at the gate.
The last time I was here in Venezuela was 18 years ago. And I'm very excited to go and see the family.
The flight crew opening the windows to wave the U.S. and Venezuelan flags, then taxiing through a water cannon salute before takeoff. This flight, the most visible sign yet of a rapid diplomatic thaw following the ouster of Venezuela's authoritarian leader, Nicolas Maduro, in January. The U.S. ban on direct air travel, in place since 2019, was officially lifted just 2 weeks ago. In South Florida, the heart of the Venezuelan diaspora, some are still cautious. Venezuela remains under the control of acting President Delcy Rodriguez, who served as Maduro's right hand for years, and hundreds of political prisoners remain behind bars.
Things that still need to happen for me to feel safe to go to Venezuela.
Despite the uncertainty, for those landing in Caracas, 7 years of grounded hopes, finally coming to a historic end.
I'm taking my family back, my kids back, my grandkids back. So it's a historic day.
George Solis, NBC News, Miami.
The Texas summer camp that was the scene of a major tragedy last year now says it will not reopen this summer. This change of heart comes after Camp Mystic had already started enrolling campers for this summer's session. Last July, 25 young campers and 2 counselors died in catastrophic flooding there. NBC's Priscilla Thompson brings us the reason for the reversal.
Camp Mystic abandoning plans to reopen next month, just steps from the Guadalupe River Camp, where in July, 25 young campers and 2 counselors died. Telling families that after thoughtful prayer and careful reflection, it will not welcome campers to its Cypress Lake site. The reversal comes just days after a grueling state hearing where lawmakers press camp leaders about reopening.
If y'all are left as an operator in any form or fashion, what deterrent does that send to another operator that I can have kids die on my watch and still be an operator?
The camp's 2026 emergency plan received a letter from the state outlining 22 deficiencies. Still, with more than 800 campers already enrolled, camp leaders appeared determined to return.
And we believe if we do it right, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they will be glad that we had camp this summer.
That infuriated parents who lost their children that night.
Do not ever tell our families that one day we will be happy that you opened camp this summer.
I am heartbroken that you have not only destroyed our lives, but that you've destroyed your own, as well as taken away every beautiful memory and magic of Mystic.
Camp Mystic now saying they have heard the concerns expressed by grieving families and that respect for those voices requires that we step back now. Voices like the father of 8-year-old victim Mary Grace Baker.
It's just another chapter in what has been the most horrific chain of events that I think any human could ever have to experience.
Our thanks to Priscilla Thompson for that report. A lot of rain is in the forecast across the South this weekend. Let's take a closer look at what to expect with your Morning News Now weather. Meteorologist Andrea Romero joins us on this Friday. Good morning, Andrea.
Good morning, Joe. And we're tracking all that rain that continues to fall here across the southern tier of the country. We have these rain storms that are setting up, and we can see that heavy rainfall that's expected. We're anticipating over 12 million people will be under flood watches and flash flood warnings today, stretching from Texas all the way into Louisiana, as this stubborn front that has set up over the area continues to tap into that deep Gulf moisture, producing all this rainfall. It is beneficial rain because this area is under that those drought conditions that we've been monitoring these past couple of months from the Gulf Coast into the southeast. But of course, too much of a good thing that falls all at the same time can lead to problems, and that heavy and that high rainfall rates could lead to some possible flash flooding across this area. Now, tomorrow, this system will begin to shift into the mid-Atlantic. It's going to develop into a coastal low. It's going to bring some heavy rain to the outer bands of North Carolina, and we do have the chance of severe storms likely that can develop over northern Florida and even over parts of southern Georgia. And the main threat there will probably be damaging winds. As far as the rainfall forecast, we're talking about a lot of rain. 1 to 3 inches could fall per hour, leading to high accumulations over the next 2 days. We're looking at possibly over 3 inches, maybe even some isolated 6-inch rainfall amounts. So that's why we have that concern of flash flooding. Now, May is starting off chilly. We do have those frost and freeze advisories, watches, warnings that are up. 47 million people are being impacted, and that's up in the northern tier. Look at this temperatures we're waking up to right now. 27 in Duluth, 32 in Cadillac, 36 degrees in Buffalo. So it's definitely cool for May, and that cold air is stretching down all the way into the deep south with below average temperatures that will continue today into tomorrow. And of course, we're monitoring that weather for Louisville, Kentucky for tomorrow for that big race. We're looking at mostly sunny conditions. So it's going to be fantastic for racing, a fast track condition, but of course, a little bit below average. We're supposed to have temperatures around the 70s, but I don't think anybody's going to be complaining too much.
That looks pretty nice because we've had some rainy ones recently. Now, I'm not a horse, so I don't really know what the ideal conditions are for racing, but I'll take that one right there. All right.
Absolutely.
Andrea, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Welcome back. King Charles and Queen Camilla wrapped up their 4-day state visit to the U.S. Thursday, and they left Washington with something few world leaders manage these days: President Trump's praise. The president called His Majesty the greatest king during their final White House farewell. He later posted on Truth Social that he'd removed tariffs on Scotch whiskey in honor of the king and queen. It's the closing act of a visit that was designed to help ease tensions between the U.S. and UK over Iran, over NATO, and over trade. Let's bring in NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez, who's in London with more. Raf, good morning. So, warm words and Scottish whiskey, is that a goodbye gift or a sign of real diplomatic progress that could maybe strengthen the relationship between the U.S. and the UK?
Well, Joe, good morning from a very sunny London. I think the answer is a little bit of both. The president frames this in very personal terms. He made the announcement just after the king and queen left the White House yesterday, a final red carpet farewell. And he framed it as something that he was doing for the royal couple. I want to read you just a little bit of his Truth Social post. He said, in honor of the King and Queen of the United Kingdom, who have just left the White House, soon headed back to their wonderful country, I will be removing the tariffs and restrictions on whiskey. And he went on to say, the King and Queen got me to do something that nobody else was able to do without hardly even asking. So he's framing it as something he is giving to the King and Queen. The reality, Joe, this has also been a big, big priority for the British government. Whiskey is a big industry in this country. Those 10% tariffs were hurting Scottish whiskey makers. And so this is a win all around. But the British government very happy for it to be framed as a gift from the president to the king.
So,
Joe.
Ralph, the final day took the King and Queen from Arlington National Cemetery to small town Virginia with bluegrass, a street party, very different kind of diplomacy. How were those moments received? What stood out the most?
Yeah, so that little town in Northern Virginia is called Front Royal. It is an appropriate venue for the King and Queen to have one of their final engagements in the U.S. They watched some high school marching bands go by. They hung out with some of the high school cheerleaders. And it was a chance for them, I think, to spend a little bit of time in small town America. It's a historic part of the United States as the U.S. prepares to mark its 250th birthday. There were some more ceremonial elements yesterday. The King was at the tomb of the unknown soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. That is a reminder of the military sacrifices that the U.S. and the U.K. have made together through 2 world wars and other conflicts in this century. And then the King also spending a little bit of time at Shenandoah National Park. And one of the highlights there, he got to see a bald eagle, obviously the symbol of the United States. Everyone was kind of waiting and watching to see whether the King might take this enormous bird of prey on his own arm. He kept his distance, and I'll tell you, Joe, 11 years ago, he was presented with a similar-sized bird here in the UK. Bird started flapping, waving its talons around, so I think the King has learned to keep a few feet at this point.
That's right.
Joe.
You can see he's kind of cautiously keeping a couple feet of distance between himself and the eagle there, although there is nothing quite like seeing an eagle in person. Raph, you're there at Buckingham Palace. The King, though, not back there yet. He's in Bermuda, a British overseas territory. His first visit there as sovereign. So what's the purpose of that stop and just the symbolic meaning?
Yeah, Joe, so one of the King's absolute top priorities since taking the throne is holding together what is known as the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is kind of the successor to the British Empire. So the British Empire, you had the UK going out, conquering other countries, ruling over them. The Commonwealth is a voluntary organization. It includes many of those same countries, Canada, Australia, part of the Commonwealth. And it is very, very important for the King to try to keep them together. Bermuda is one of the early members of the Commonwealth. The UK is responsible for its defense, although it does govern itself. It sets its own tax policies, education, health, stuff like that. And so expect to see more visits like this to the King to what can be quite small countries, but countries that are extremely important to him and extremely important to the Commonwealth. Joe.
Raph Sanchez. Raph, thank you so much. We're back with our series, The Cost of Denial, investigating the real-life challenges people face with their insurance. This morning, we've got the story of one hospital employee. She fought back after her heart surgery was canceled 2 days before it was set to happen. NBC News Daily anchor Vicki Wynn has more.
Delay and deny. That was Amy Wodel's experience. But her persistence led to a breakthrough. And here's what we can all learn from Amy's fight for care.
This is not supposed to be flapping around like that.
46-year-old Amy Wodel of Hamilton, Ohio, has a hole in her heart the size of a grape. Amy's official diagnosis, an atrial septal defect.
I could have a stroke at any time. I can develop right-sided heart failure. I can develop pulmonary hypertension, which is an irreversible damage to the heart and lungs.
What is it like living with that knowledge that if this isn't fixed, you could die?
It's terrifying.
Amy rarely leaves her home. It's too much for her heart. You never had trouble climbing stairs before?
No.
Her mom, Deborah Ann, is often by her side because of fainting spells, shortness of breath, and unpredictable weakness.
I'm almost afraid to do anything. I'm short of breath all the time anyway, but I'm scared now.
Lucky for Amy, she works as a medical assistant at the Christ Hospital in Cincinnati. Doctors there recommended a robotic heart surgery.
Of course, I know, I work in cardiology. I know it's going to be fine. But my brain immediately goes to like, well, what if it doesn't restart?
But on Christmas Eve, 2 days before her surgery was scheduled, Amy was told it was canceled. The reason? Insurance had denied coverage, saying it wasn't medically necessary. Is this a situation where you feel like your insurance failed you?
Absolutely. I was like, what am I even paying for?
Amy's story is unusual. She's both a patient and an employee at the Christ Hospital. She gets her insurance through the hospital, the plan administered by United Healthcare. The hospital's surgeon was telling Amy she needed an operation on her heart, while the hospital's insurance said no, she didn't. Amy appealed the decision twice. Both times she was denied. She then asked for an independent medical review. United Healthcare says the denial was upheld and the review complete. But the next day, we asked about Amy's case. That same day, United says the independent medical reviewer talked with a doctor at the Christ Hospital. The company denies the discussion was prompted by our questions, but 2 days later, they approved Amy's surgery. Amy's hospital wouldn't comment for this story. United Healthcare told us, we encourage all members to utilize the appeals process if they receive an initial decision they do not agree with. And in this case, the process resulted in an approval. We wish Ms. Wodel a speedy recovery.
I felt, when I finally got the letter, I felt such relief because I was like, this is actually going to happen.
Amy finally underwent surgery on March 16th, 80 days after it was initially scheduled.
You're going to get to enjoy the dogs and the snow.
She says she feels like a different person and learned this lesson.
If your physician has said that you need something that is medically necessary, if a surgeon has said that you need something that is medically necessary, and your insurance is saying no, keep fighting.
In addition to the time lost due to the initial denial, Amy ended up having to pay more out of pocket for her surgery. Last year, Amy had reached her deductible, so if the surgery had taken place in December, when it was originally scheduled, the cost would have been covered. But her deductible reset this new year, so that surgery ended up costing her thousands of dollars. Back to you.
All right, Vicki Wynn, thank you. Health researchers are raising fresh new questions about how teenagers are using artificial intelligence and what it could mean for their development. A new article in JAMA Pediatrics reports that more young people are turning to AI chatbots, not just for homework help. They're looking for conversation, emotional support, even companionship. Melody Mendez from our NBC station in Boston spoke to the lead author about why this trend may come with some serious risks.
The study by researchers at Harvard Medical School and Fordham University is shining a light on a growing trend. These tools are no longer just digital assistants. Teens are forming deeper connections with generative AI.
It's so sophisticated that it mimics human-based real-life conversations.
Clinical and developmental psychologist Dr. Cindy Liu says nearly half of young people report using AI weekly or even daily. And for some, it starts with homework help before evolving into something deeper.
Because AI is really designed to kind of get to know you, it allows people to sort of disclose information and feel really comfortable in a similar way that they might feel comfortable with a human.
That comfort is exactly what concerns researchers. They warn it could come with unintended consequences, drawing on the attachment theory where humans derive safety in the world from their caregivers and a strong familial relationship. Well, the study warns that AI could begin to replace that kind of human interaction that helps teens build essential developmental skills.
There's no sort of easy way to get through adolescence or through childhood. It's going to be filled with tension, conflict, and obviously everybody wants to escape from that. And so now we have a technology that allows you to do that anytime.
But that constant availability may come at a cost.
Processing it with this technology that doesn't really challenge you and validates your feelings and doesn't really sort of shift you towards being able to be okay with that discomfort that is just part of life.
See, that discomfort, experts say, is actually critical to building resilience, empathy, and developing a sense of identity. To parents, she says, the key is not in limiting screen time, but understanding how your teens are using AI.
There's a really big difference in using it for very tangible reasons like homework help versus being drawn to AI when they're feeling lonely or anxious.
Melody, thank you so much. Experts also warn that vulnerable teens who feel more isolated could be more likely to rely on chatbots for companionship. Coming up, the name game. Thousands are saddling up to place their bets on this year's Kentucky Derby. Even though there are favorites for first place, some may put their money on the horse with the coolest name. Turns out there are many rules for how those names are chosen, so we got the do's and the don'ts next. We're back now with some troubling news out of Hollywood. One of the industry's largest production companies is shutting down some of its facilities. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin explains what it could mean for the future of filmmaking.
Empty sound stages in Hollywood used to be unthinkable. Now it's part of a growing trend, forcing a key behind-the-scenes production company to scale back. Quixote might not be a household name, but behind the scenes, it provides everything from trailers to superstars like Sabrina Carpenter and Ariana Grande to full sound stages.
Brian started the fire!
Including the former home of NBC's The Office.
Quixote is one of the biggest names in the business.
But this week, in an email to clients, Quixote announced it's scaling back its soundstage operations in Los Angeles and winding down operations in Atlanta.
Action!
A one-time production boomtown.
Very few places are seeing increased film and TV activity right now in the United States.
Quixote's parent company, Hudson Pacific, says the move could save the company up to $27 million. Adding in a statement, it has persisted through the prolonged and ongoing slowdown in commercial, television, and film production. But ultimately, industry conditions have forced difficult decisions. For years, Hollywood is worried about productions leaving California for better financial incentives in other states. The issue now, there are fewer productions to keep the industry booming.
Television production has declined for 3 straight years. In 2025, there was an 11% drop in premieres of TV shows versus 2024.
But there's a twist. Not every production space is struggling. Hudson Pacific says its Sunset Studio stages are nearly fully booked, signaling demand hasn't gone away, it's just shifting.
I think for Hollywood, this is a wake-up call when a company like Quixote scales back, because it's saying that the need for physical production is diminishing, and that should be alarming to a lot of people. But there will be ways to pivot, hopefully, and turn that around.
And for an industry built on reinvention, this is a reality check, a reminder that in Hollywood, not every story gets a sequel. Dana Griffin, NBC News.
Some more money news now. A former Chick-fil-A worker is being accused of criminal activity, or should we say Mactivity. NBC News business and economy reporter Allie Canal is here with your Money Minute. Mactivity.
Mactivity, that's right, Joe. A mac and cheese scheme in Texas here. A 23-year-old former Chick-fil-A worker is accused of allegedly ringing up hundreds of fake orders, then refunding them to his own cards. Police say that total, more than $80,000, was worth of all mac and cheese, and it was all caught on video, too. He's now facing theft, money laundering, and evading arrest charges. Meanwhile, a recall to watch. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says about 36,000 Build-A-Bear Workshop plush bears are now being pulled in the U.S. over a potential choking hazard. The issue, a zipper on the bear's side pouch can detach. So if you have the heartwarming Hugs bear, check for model number 034464 and return it for a full refund. And finally, if you pay tariffs on shipments, you could be getting some money back. After the Supreme Court struck down President Trump's reciprocal tariffs earlier this year, some shipping giants say they plan to pass refunds back to customers. UPS executives said on the company's earnings call this week that it had collected about $5 billion in tariffs and has applied for those refunds. The company confirmed it will return that money as it comes in. FedEx has reportedly said it will do the same. Now, I've reached out to both companies for comment on this, but Joe, this could be welcome news for many Americans who are struggling with a lot of increased costs these days, especially around those sky-high gas prices.
No kidding. I have to go back to the first story because I feel like $80,000 of mac and cheese might be a red flag.
Yes,
or an orange flag.
That's essentially what happened. The franchisee owner alerted authorities, was like, I don't know if this many people, I love a good Chick-fil-A mac and cheese.
I mean,
however, yes, I think $80,000 would raise those suspicions for sure.
As hungry as I get, I don't know if I could eat $80,000
Agreed.
worth. Allie, thank you. Appreciate it. The 152nd Kentucky Derby saddles up this Saturday at Churchill Downs in Kentucky. Now, a horse named Renegade is currently the betting favorite, but how do these incredible horses get their names? Turns out, maybe not as simple as you might think. Don Gee from our Louisville affiliate explains the rules owners have to follow.
It's a very serious process.
Darren Rogers, Senior Director of Communications and Media of Churchill Downs, can tell you naming a racehorse is not as simple as conceiving a creative, funny, or memorable name.
So you must have, the horse name cannot be longer than 18 characters. That includes spaces.
There is a list of do's and don'ts.
There's no juniors or the seconds or thirds. There's no American Pharoah Jr.
You can spell out numbers, but you can't use numbers. Names cannot be vulgar or offensive, nor can they hold religious, ethnic, or political offense. These are just a few of the rules the Jockeys Club Registry considers before your racehorse is allowed to hit its stride.
One of the legendary horses that I believe Mike Battaglia called many, many years ago, hoof-hearted. Now, you don't want to say that too fast.
Yes, hoof-hearted. Did you say it fast? Do you get it? Travis Stone, two-time All-Star announcer and public address announcer at Churchill Downs, calls all those names, knows all those names, and thinks about all those names.
I spend every morning before racing going through each name on the card for the day.
Stone has been calling races since he was 18 years old, so he has heard some names.
When you name a horse Viral Plain Lady or POSH Posh, Hog Slayers RIP, names like that, I'm not on board. No offense, I'm just not on board. And you'll make my list.
Stone has a list of names he considers effortless.
A horse name like Sierra Leone, Forever Young from the 150, Mystic Dan, those all sounded good in the call. They're easier to say. I prefer multi-syllable names as opposed to one. When Mage won the Derby, he obviously ran huge. It's kind of a weird sounding name when you just burst out Mage.
If you're the winning horse of the Kentucky Derby, when they call your name, it is a permanent part of history and is worth millions of dollars.
When you look at horses through the binoculars, it is such an awesome sport. It is really cool to see them do what they do, and it's just naturally exciting to watch.
Hoof-hearted. That was Don Gee reporting. You can watch the Kentucky Derby live from Churchill Downs on NBC and Peacock this Saturday. Coverage starts at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. From horse racing to car racing, Formula One, we got all the sound effects for you this morning. Formula One is heading to Miami for the first American Grand Prix of this season. The qualifiers begin later today with the official race on Sunday. Comes at a moment when F1 is starting to attract more and more fans here in the U.S. And our very own Savannah went down to Florida to speak with some of those fans and a couple drivers about this weekend's race.
Hey there, the excitement in Miami is palpable. Formula One has descended on this city for the first American Grand Prix of the season with a newfound, larger, energized American fan base and even a new American team.
If you're not already a Formula One fan, now might be a good time to become one.
It's incredible. It's like a dream come true.
I love the car. It's honestly so cool.
The motor racing sport that sees drivers reach speeds of nearly 240 miles per hour has seen a surge in popularity in the U.S., evident in the crowds gathered for the Miami Grand Prix, one of 3 on American soil throughout the season.
What does it feel like to have an American audience so energized around a race?
I mean, it's really cool. I think, until a few years ago, we didn't have that much popularity in the US as a sport, but it's really picked up a lot.
I mean, I think Americans, they know how to have a good time. Good atmospheres, good fans, make a lot of noise, and that's what you want.
The fans certainly make noise for these two. McLaren drivers Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri consistently on the podium. A quirk of this sport, while they are teammates, they are also rivals.
It is a weird one. There's really no other sport where you kind of have that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Where you're rivals, but you also work together, work for the team. And we both want to stand on the top step of the podium every weekend. But we also have to, help the team, trying to improve.
And this season, a new team is zooming onto the scene.
This is Cadillac Formula One's first home race on American soil. We're super excited to plant the flag that we're America's home team.
Cadillac, just the second American team to join the pack and the first with big commercial appeal. Their chief marketing officer says they'll lean into that.
And a core principle for us is definitely opening the doors to modern fandom, is opening the doors to all American fans wherever they're coming from. So it's really important for us to make sure our fandom reflects all of America.
That point clear this weekend with the fan experience going at full speed.
Ooh, I think I'm hitting max speed.
The cars are fast and I like to go fast.
The youngest to the oldest fans, everyone is excited here. There's a lot of changes that have come to Formula One this season. This is going to be a big weekend for a few teams. They've had a couple weekends of a break, so the fans here are so excited. We'll be watching. I got to go, though. I think my ride's here.
Ooh, very good, Savannah. Looks like fun. Thank you. All right, coming up, recycling revolution. We're going to catch up with the co-founder of a grassroots program that's transforming the way Louisiana treats its waste. It all started in a college backyard. How they're seeing the glass half full next. We end this hour with the story of two college students who launched their own recycling program. And now, 6 years later, they're revolutionizing how New Orleans treats its waste. Tulane University alums Francisca Troutman and Max Stites started a grassroots recycling program from their backyard back in 2020. In the first year, Glass Half Full recycled about 1 million pounds of glass. Now it processes hundreds of thousands of pounds a day. Their program turns used glass into gravel and sand to help restore Louisiana's coastline. Co-founder and CEO of Glass Half Full, Francisca Troutman, joins me now. Francisca, thanks so much for joining us this morning. I just read about this story, loved it so much. Glass Half Full has officially recycled more than 14 million pounds of glass across the southern Gulf coast. Take me back to the beginning. Why'd you start this program? I have to imagine it was pretty tough to get it going.
Yeah, well, as you can imagine, it started with a glass bottle that my co-founder Max and I were sharing back in 2020 in our college house. And we thought about how it would end up in a landfill. And we said, what if we could do something about this? What if we figured out a way to turn this glass into something that New Orleans actually needs? And when we realized that we could turn glass back into sand, things clicked, because we have a huge coastal erosion crisis in Louisiana, and we knew that sand could help with that issue.
You started in a backyard. Now you're in a massive 10,000 square foot facility collecting glass from not just Louisiana, but a number of states. I know the local community has played a huge role in that growth. I mean, walk me through how you get this recycled glass and then what exactly you do with it.
We try to get the glass from the source. So if you can imagine New Orleans, we have a lot of bars, restaurants, hotels, casinos. So we're collecting from all of those places, as well as residents' houses, and then trying to make glass recycling easy and accessible for people. So we add drop-off locations around town. Like you mentioned, we've expanded out to Alabama, to Mississippi. So we have a wide range of places now that we're able to collect that glass in order to make it easy, affordable, accessible, so that people actually want to participate in this program. And it's not something that's, ignored or left by the wayside. It's something that people really want to participate in.
Yeah, you do have to motivate people. How do you do that? How do you get locals involved?
For us, it's really trying to make glass recycling in general, something fun, exciting, something that you feel like you want to be a part of. I think a lot of recycling systems can feel, a lack of transparency around what happens to your recycling, where is this really going? You put it in the bin and then you don't really know what happens to it after that. So we try to be the exact opposite of that. We're on social media showing people what's actually happening with your glass, where it's going, how we're using it for coastal restoration, and why that's important. And I think people really relate to that. They want to see that their recyclables are making a difference, that their actions are making a difference. I think that's something that's really important right now, is giving people hope, giving people something to look forward to and something to do good.
And you're creating connection there as well. We have just under a minute, but I know last month you partnered with the French Quarter Management District to get more businesses involved in the heart of New Orleans there. What does that plan look like?
Yes, like I mentioned, down in New Orleans, the French Quarter is the hub for where all the glass waste is. There are bars and restaurants producing literally tons of waste every single day. And so partnerships like this are key to really get those organizations involved and excited and reduce barriers to entry into glass recycling. Because for some people, it can be a lot of logistics or cost. And so really trying to reduce all barriers to ensure that everyone can recycle and we can use that glass for good.
10 seconds here. How do you encourage other people who aren't in New Orleans to just get involved and help?
You can always learn more about glass recycling. You can learn more about us on our website, glasshalffull.co. Check out our social media, how we're trying to make recycling engaging, and see if you can do that in your local community.
Francisca Troutman, congrats on everything. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Stick with us. The news continues right now. morning. Happy Friday. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is on assignment. Right now on Morning News Now, is it time's up? Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth back on Capitol Hill for a second day, doubling down on his defense of the war with Iran despite souring public support. Plus, today marks that critical 60-day deadline for President Trump to wrangle congressional approval for a conflict with no clear end in sight. We're covering it all. That includes the soaring national average for a gallon of gas. AAA reporting a jump more than 9 cents overnight to the highest price Americans have seen in nearly 4 years. So will it all get worse before it gets better? We're watching your bottom line. Plus, an update out of my home state of Minnesota. The hot-button legal case against 2 women accused of obstructing ICE operations there, now thrown out. They're going to join us. And saddle up, America. Later in the hour, we're gearing up for the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. It's the 52nd running of the Kentucky Derby, firing off tomorrow, right here on NBC. To begin this hour with the latest on the war with Iran, today does mark 60 days since President Trump formally notified Congress about the U.S. military action. Despite the ceasefire that began on April 7th, the 1973 War Powers Resolution says the president has to remove military forces from conflict within 60 days if Congress does not authorize the war before that deadline. For a second straight day yesterday, lawmakers on Capitol Hill grilled military leaders. That includes the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joins us now from Washington with more. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning. The administration is signaling they no longer need to worry about that 60-day deadline, arguing that hostilities have ended. That may not be enough for some on Capitol Hill, who grilled Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on a wide variety of topics, including the path forward in Iran.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth back in the hot seat on Capitol Hill, taking questions from Senate lawmakers about public support for the war in Iran, which the Defense Department says has cost $25 billion so far.
Why do you continue to prosecute a war that the American people aren't behind?
When I talk to Americans, and especially when I talk to the troops, they are grateful for a president who has the courage to take on this threat. This is a defined mission set that we have had great success in pursuing against a determined enemy who seeks nuclear weapons. And I'm proud of the opportunity to remind the American people, because they believe in it as well, that they can't have it.
Hegseth defending U.S. military action.
It's defeatist Democrats like you that cloud the mind of the American people and would otherwise fully support preventing Iran from having a nuclear weapon.
Quizzed about whether the president can continue the war, which he launched without official congressional approval. A key 60-day deadline expiring today. Some in Congress now saying he needs them on board. But the defense secretary disagreeing.
We are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops in a ceasefire. They're not in. Yeah. It's our understanding, just so you know.
Okay, well, I do not believe the statute would support that.
Republican leadership backing him up.
But the Constitution specifically states 60 days.
Democrats also pushing back on a highest ever defense budget request for 2027, $1.5 trillion, as they questioned the future of the war.
This war is stuck. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. The Iranian regime is in place. The nuclear material still in their hands.
The other big development on Capitol Hill is that President Trump signed the bill yesterday, ending the record 75-day partial government shutdown. The bill restores funding for the Department of Homeland Security, which includes agencies like FEMA, Secret Service, and TSA. It came just ahead of a critical deadline when emergency funding for thousands of workers would have run out.
All right, Ryan, thank you. We are getting our first look at new video of the alleged gunman in the White House correspondent's dinner shooting. Federal prosecutors say it shows the suspect scoping out the hotel just one day before the attack. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has the latest on this. Gabe, good morning.
Joe, good morning. The suspect just appeared in court, and the Justice Department is releasing that new evidence in this case. It all comes as the Secret Service director says he would not change anything about the security setup that night. Overnight, the Justice Department releasing this chilling new surveillance video of the man charged with trying to assassinate President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Prosecutors say it shows Cole Allen casing the Washington Hilton the day before the attack. This video shows him looking around the hotel's gym, walking down hallways. The night of the shooting, these photos released by the DOJ show Allen taking a selfie while wearing a vest holding knives and pliers. New evidence photos also show bags of ammunition inside his room, as well as a gas mask and protective glasses. Higher resolution security video shows Allen walking down a hallway wearing a dark coat, apparently discarding it out of frame minutes later when he's seen bolting through a metal detector as an officer opens fire.
All the evidence that I've seen, the suspect shot our officer point-blank range with a shotgun. Our officer heroically returned fire.
The Secret Service director says this was not a case of friendly fire hitting the officer who was wearing a protective vest.
The site was set up perfectly. I will tell you, I would not change the site again.
While the president has repeatedly praised the Secret Service, he did question whether the building could have been more secure.
There's always room for improvement, right? And he got into the building. You know, when you have 1,000 rooms sitting on top of a ballroom and you have the elevators coming down right near the entrance, it's a pretty tough situation.
Cole Allen's attorney told the judge at his court hearing that he's conceding detention at this time, meaning Allen will stay in jail pending trial. The government says it will present more evidence at his next court appearance on May 11th, when he's expected to formally enter a plea, Joe.
All right, Gabe, thank you so much. In economic news, gas prices jumped again overnight. The national average price for a gallon of gas now $4.39 a gallon. That is the highest point since July 2022. NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung joins us now to talk more about this. Brian, good morning. So gas prices just keep climbing. Do we know any end in sight?
Yeah, no, $4.39, as you mentioned, that is the national average right now. It's crazy to think that's up 33 cents just since last week. Normally, when we're talking about daily moves, we're talking about fractions of 1 cent. We are seeing massive moves. Again, almost 10 cents in just the last day. Pre-war, it was sub $3 a gallon. Now, I want to point out, we've been talking about these national averages for quite a while. Here's another way to think about this. If you drive a Toyota Camry, the same tank of gas before this war is now costing you $18 more. If it's a Chevy Suburban, a big SUV, that's going to be almost $40. So this is real-time money that Americans are feeling in their wallets.
There's no doubt they're feeling that. We also got some economic growth figures yesterday. Yeah. So what is it telling us about just the strength of our economy overall?
Yeah, so the measures are called GDP. It's alphabet soup, but basically what it means is economic growth. And it showed that the pace of growth in this country for the first 3 months of this year was 2%. That's pretty solid, especially when you consider that the recent reading we got prior to that for the last 3 months of 2025 was only 0.5%. So 2% is a really solid growth rate. But I want to point out, because that covers the first 3 months, it only covers the beginnings of this war. So it tells us that the U.S. economy was in a pretty good place prior to this war. I think that now you have these surging gas prices that has the potential to bleed into higher food prices, higher packaging prices, basically everything else getting more expensive. With the economy doing pretty well in the first quarter of this year, it shows it really comes at an inconvenient time.
Despite the high prices, despite gas and oil spiking right now, Wall Street had another huge day yesterday. So help us understand what's going on here and why Wall Street seems to be in a pretty good mood.
Yeah, I mean, what you see on the screen ahead of you is the stock market closed just yesterday. The Dow Jones up almost 2% in a single day. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ having a great day as well. I think a lot of people are wondering, what? We're at war right now. The oil prices are surging, but Wall Street's doing well because of corporate earnings. We've heard from a number of big tech companies like Intel, like Google. They knocked it out of the park. Investors really love the numbers that they reported. Apple, actually, just after the bell yesterday, I would expect that their stock is probably going to pop today as well. And for that reason, Wall Street is getting buoyed by these big tech stocks. But it's this real bizarre split screen between Wall Street doing very well as gas prices really crunch American wallets. So that's a theme that we've been watching.
Is it that AI is driving things? Is it that people are still spending money? Like, what is the reason we're seeing so much positive news coming out of these earnings?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly on the AI front, investors love pouring money into these big tech stocks because they feel like artificial intelligence is going to lead to strong financial performances for these big tech companies going forward. But demand is another big thing. I think that despite the concerns about affordability going into this war, a lot of these companies were reporting strong spending still. Again, does the war change that? That's why I think the next round of earnings reports about 3 months from now will be arguably more telling.
All right, Brian Chung, thank you so much. The owners of Camp Mystic, the site of last summer's catastrophic and deadly flooding, now says it will not reopen this summer. This reversal comes after weeks of renewed outrage from families and lawmakers who are accusing the camp of serious safety failures. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson is following this story, joins us with more. Priscilla, good morning.
Yeah, Joe, good morning. Camp Mystic had hoped to reopen this month with more than 800 campers already enrolled. But just last week, Texas state health officials had found nearly 24 issues with the camp's new emergency plan. And now, after days of testimony from grieving families, Camp Mystic is reversing course. This morning, Camp Mystic announcing it will be shutting its doors this summer. The Texas Christian Girls Camp, where 27 campers and counselors were killed when a devastating flood tore through the Guadalupe River camp last July, was preparing to welcome back hundreds of campers to its Cypress Lake site next month. But in a new statement, the organization says that after careful reflection, it has withdrawn its application for a summer 2026 camp license.
How many more deaths are enough?
The decision follows an emotional hearing this week, where victims' families urged lawmakers not to allow the camp to reopen.
I am heartbroken that you have not only destroyed our lives, but that you've destroyed your own.
Officials also hearing from investigators who claim camp owners, including the late Dick Eastland, knew of the flood risk and did not have a proper evacuation plan. The camp saying they did have a plan, but it was to stay in place and wait for information. Dick Eastland died in the flooding. The surviving family remorseful, but appearing determined to reopen.
We tried our hardest that night, and it wasn't enough to save your daughters.
This morning, many families praising the decision to keep the camp closed, including Clark Baker, who lost his 8-year-old daughter, Mary Grace. He says this is just the beginning of a long fight.
Just because we got word that they weren't going to open this summer, well, what if they try to open next summer?
Multiple investigations into Camp Mystic remain underway, and a lawsuit from the family of 8-year-old Seal Stewart, who is still missing. Jenna sat down with her parents earlier this year.
And had they left, how far would they have had to walk to get to higher ground?
60 paces. As a 8-year-old, you could have made it in a brisk walk in 45 seconds to Rec Hall. All they had to do was communicate.
And following that announcement, Seal's parents did release a statement saying that they will continue to fight for her recovery, and fight to bring her home. Last month, a Texas judge did rule that the damaged cabins at Camp Mystic must remain untouched as that wrongful death suit continues to play out. Joe?
All right, Priscilla, thank you. Flood watches are in effect with heavy rain in store from New Mexico to Louisiana. Let's get a closer look at your weekend forecast with your Morning News Now weather and meteorologist Andrea Romero. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. We're going to need the umbrella in parts of the country for this weekend for sure. We continue to have heavy rainfall this morning here along the southern tier of the country, moving over parts of Texas, extending into Louisiana, even Mississippi. Around 12 million people will be impacted by these flood watches and flash flood warnings that are up. In fact, we do have a flash flood warning right now just south of Austin, where heavy rainfall has been falling all morning. Around 1 to 3 inches already have fallen. And we're still expecting more as these thunderstorms continue to move over the area. And basically, we have a stationary front over the area that's just picking up all that tropical moisture and dumping it over the location with hourly rainfall rates of 1 to 3 inches per hour, which is leading to this risk of flash flooding that will continue throughout the day today. So we're expecting this beneficial rainfall because it is beneficial. Remember, this area is under all those severe drought conditions from the Gulf Coast into the southeast. But of course, too much of a good thing over a short amount of time it can lead to that flash flooding, and that will be what we will be watching throughout the day. Now, as this storm system heads off into the mid-Atlantic, we're expecting it to develop into a coastal low. So tomorrow, the Outer Banks of North Carolina could have some heavy rain, and we are also expecting some severe storms to develop over northern Florida, even over parts of southern Georgia. We're talking the main concern here with these storms most likely will be damaging wind gusts of 60 miles per hour possible, as well as some hail that can develop in those heavier storms. The rainfall forecast in total, we can see accumulations of up to 3 inches, maybe even isolated amounts of 6 inches. And then if we talk about temperatures, we are starting the month of May with chilly weather up north, especially 47 million people are under frost and freeze watches, advisories, warnings along the Great Lakes. It's cool for May, definitely extending all the way down into the deep south, where we'll continue to see below average temperatures, and that will continue into tomorrow, including in Louisville, where we're going to have below average temperatures for the race. But it's looking good because it's going to be sunny, it's going to be dry, fast track conditions, so we'll all be enjoying that race tomorrow afternoon.
The mint juleps will keep them warm if they're feeling chilly at all. All right,
and the beautiful hats.
There you go. That too. Exactly. Andrea, thank you so much. King Charles and Queen Camilla wrapped up their 4-day U.S. visit Thursday. They left Washington on a high note at the White House. President Trump called His Majesty the greatest king. He later posted on Truth Social he would remove tariffs on Scotch whiskey in honor of the royal couple. All of it part of a broader effort to help improve relations between the U.S. and U.K. Let's bring in NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez, who's in London. Raf, good morning.
Joe, good morning from a very sunny Buckingham Palace. I can tell you, people on this side of the pond are thrilled at how smoothly this trip went, because it had been a rocky couple of weeks in the U.S.-UK relationship with a lot of tensions over the war with Iran. But a little royal diplomacy seems to have gone a long way. Overnight, King Charles touching down in Bermuda after wrapping up a whirlwind 4-day visit to the U.S. along with Queen Camilla, with a final red carpet farewell at the White House.
Great king.
What would you rate his visit?
The greatest king in my book.
It was Charles's 20th trip to the U.S., but his first since taking the throne, and the first state visit by a British monarch since Queen Elizabeth in 2007. And the stakes were high, with the two countries' special relationship recently strained over the UK's resistance to joining President Trump's war in Iran.
He is obviously a little bit more opinionated and more overt with his opinions than his late mother was, and he had a lot of diplomatic minefields to navigate with Trump, but he navigated it expertly.
And it seems to have worked.
Great people. We need more people like that in our country.
And even announcing he's lifting tariffs on Scottish whiskey, writing, "The King and Queen got me to do something that nobody else was able to do, without hardly even asking." Charles and Camilla then further celebrated in Virginia, with a block party marking America's 250th, and the King taking in the beauty of the Shenandoah Valley. The royals were on a charm offensive from the beginning, from private meetings to a state dinner and a special gift.
Should you ever need to get hold of us, or just give us a ring?
Charles occasionally gently pushing back on the president, in his speech to Congress praising NATO and reminding him how allies fought alongside the U.S. after 9/11.
We answered the call together.
The focus remaining on the special relationship.
It was a deft touch of soft diplomacy that the British royal family is so known for.
And Buckingham Palace says the king is grateful to President Trump for lifting those tariffs on whiskey. That had been a real priority for the UK, and that the king will be raising a glass to American thoughtfulness and hospitality. So, Joe, cheers to that.
There you go. Cheers heading into the weekend. Raf, thank you so much. More to come on this Friday edition of Morning News Now, including a full run-up to tomorrow's 152nd running of the Kentucky Derby. So grab your fascinators, muddle up a mint julep, maybe in a few hours, and join our good friend Mike Tirico for a preview of the action. First, though, after the break, a famous face of 2000s reality TV is joining the fight to become LA's next mayor. Want a hint? We could call it a real run for the hills. We'll tell you who next. We're back with an update on the new misdemeanor charge that pop icon Britney Spears is facing in California. Yesterday, the Ventura County District Attorney's Office said Spears was charged with one count of driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol following her arrest in March. Highway patrol officers say they pulled the singer over after they saw her driving erratically. It's not clear what kind of alcohol or drugs that Spears is accused of using Her spokesperson did not immediately respond to NBC News' request for comment. But last month, a source familiar with the situation told NBC News that Spears voluntarily checked herself into a substance abuse treatment facility. A hearing is now set for Monday. Saying in Hollywood, a familiar face from reality TV is now making a very real political play. Former star of The Hills, Spencer Pratt, is turning heads in the race for Los Angeles mayor after his new campaign ad went viral. Just over a month until Election Day, voters will soon decide who's going to lead the nation's second largest city. The incumbent, Mayor Karen Bass, is still leading in the polls. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has the latest from Los Angeles. Liz, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning to you. Spencer Pratt first made a name for himself on reality TV, but over the last year, he's gained additional prominence here as an outspoken critic of the city's response to last year's deadly Palisades fire. The anger and the frustration that many people feel is something he's tapping into as he attempts to become the latest TV star to jump into politics.
Many know him as the antagonistic villain on hit reality TV show The Hills. But Spencer Pratt is now taking on a new role, channeling his polarizing persona into politics.
That's why I am running for mayor.
The Los Angeles mayoral candidate, who lost his home in the Palisades fire last year, releasing a now viral new campaign ad, slamming current mayor Karen Bass and his other Democratic challenger for the city's handling of the historic disaster.
This is where Mayor Bass lives. You notice something? Or here, where Nithya Raman's $3 million mansion sits. They don't have to live in the mess they've created where you live. This is where I live. They let my home burn down. I know what the consequences of failed leadership are. That's why I'm running for mayor.
That ad racking up more than 10 million views in just 24 hours, helping the 42-year-old with no political experience gain some traction in the race. Since January, when Pratt launched his long-shot campaign, he's raised more money than any of his opponents, including Mayor Bass. And he's getting high-profile support, including from popular podcaster Joe Rogan. Over the years, Pratt and his wife, Heidi Montag, have made several appearances on Today.
On that show, I'm the villain. In life, I want to be a hero.
Recently telling NBC News about why he wants to take a turn to politics.
We have career politicians, and that's why I'm actually running to come in and to make change.
A spokesperson for Mayor Bass's campaign telling NBC News Spencer is doing his best Trump impression, but it's not going to work in L.A. His other opponent, City Councilwoman Nithya Raman, saying in part, filming an ad outside my home where my young children live feels unnecessary and reckless. But despite Pratt's momentum, his candidacy still has elements of reality TV. His sister, Stephanie Pratt, declining to endorse him, posting in part on her now private X account, a vote for him is a vote for stupidity.
Yeah, not mincing words there, but with the primary election just over a month away now, early voting begins next week. Pratt does actually have a decent shot of making it into the runoff in November. Polls show about 40 to 50% of voters are still undecided. Now, if he does get to the general election, that is where he's going to face more of an uphill battle. Pratt is a registered Republican, and while the race is nonpartisan and he says he's not running with any party affiliation, it has been more than 2 decades since L.A. has had a Republican mayor. Joe.
All right, Liz, thank you so much. Coming up, new developments in a story that we have been following closely here on Morning News Now. 2 women out of Minnesota detained for allegedly obstructing ICE operations there. And while still handcuffed, they say they were able to help an agent having a medical emergency. Why the case against them has now been dropped. We'll be right back. We're back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with a new nominee for Surgeon General from President Trump. NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen joins us with the details. John, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Dr. Nicole Saphier, she literally wrote the book, Make America Healthy Again. Now she's President Trump's pick to become Surgeon General, recommended by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Saphier, a radiologist and Fox News medical contributor, replaces Trump's original choice. That pick, Casey Means, did not have the votes to get through the Senate Health Committee. Trump blamed that on Chairman Bill Cassidy. The Louisiana Republican has been critical of Kennedy and has been targeted by the White House for defeat in this year's GOP primary. But Means told Politico it was moderate Alaska Republican Lisa Murkowski who doomed her nomination. Murkowski told the White House this week she would vote no. Another senator from the small clutch of GOP moderates who found out who she will face in November. Senator Susan Collins will go up against Democrat Graham Plattner, a political newcomer and oyster farmer. Graham's primary rival, Governor Janet Mills, dropped out on Thursday, clearing the way for his nomination. Washington Democratic insiders, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, had backed Mills, but Plattner, a Marine Corps veteran, has the support of Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and the political left. Later in the day, Collins cast a vote in favor of stopping the war in Iran for the very first time. And finally, the Senate moved to ban its members and staff from betting in prediction markets. The resolution changing the rules passed unanimously. Senator Bernie Moreno, who sponsored the resolution, said public confidence in the Senate deteriorates if people think the powerful are betting on issues where they, quote, might have inside information. Yeah, no joke. Major prediction markets Kalshi and Polymarket praised the move on X. You know, Joe, I don't try to predict the outcome of news events, but you can bet this isn't the last we'll hear about this issue.
Yeah, that is a good bet right there. John Allen. John, thank you so much. We have an update to a story that we've been covering out of Minnesota in the wake of the high-profile ICE operation there. NBC News has learned the criminal cases against two women who were accused of obstructing operations have now been dismissed. Their story made national headlines earlier this year when the women said that while detained, they helped a federal agent who was having a medical emergency. It all unfolded on January 22nd in Brooklyn Park, a Minneapolis suburb. Dashcam video shows the moment federal authorities descended on a car. Agents then took two women, Tippy Amundsen and Heather Zeman, into custody. Now, in a statement at the time, DHS accused them of obstructing operations by the Border Patrol in that neighborhood, saying they disobeyed law enforcement commands and ignored warnings resulting in their arrest. The women have always denied those allegations. During an interview with Morning News Now back in January, Amundsen and Zeman told us that while they were handcuffed in the back of an SUV en route to a federal detention center, one agent started to have a medical emergency. They believed it was a seizure. They said they brought it to the attention of other agents in the vehicle. Amundsen told us she was then uncuffed, allowing her to help the agent get into recovery position, make sure his airway was clear, and just help keep him calm. Eventually, EMTs arrived. The women say they were taken back into custody and then brought to the detention center. Several weeks later, they received violation notices from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Both were accused of assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers. Then, about 2 weeks ago, they learned the U.S. Attorney filed a motion to dismiss those citations with prejudice, which means the cases are permanently closed. And a judge did grant those motions to dismiss. NBC News has repeatedly reached out to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minneapolis for comment. We have not yet heard back. This morning, we are joined once again by Tippy Amundsen and Heather Zeman and their attorney, Ed Shaw. Good morning to all of you. Thanks so much for joining us. Tippy, I'm going to start with you. Your reaction to the news a couple weeks ago when you learned the cases were being dismissed.
I think there was definitely a lot of relief in seeing that come in the mail. It was always something that no matter what the outcome was, Heather and I felt that we were truly within our rights and acting as mothers in the neighborhood at a bus stop. And then all of the other stuff that unfolded after that. So I think it was just relief that there wasn't going to be any consequences for just doing what I know to be right.
Heather, what did you think when the case was dropped? Do you think it maybe had anything to do with helping out the agent in that moment or all the publicity here?
Absolutely not. I don't think so. They had a bunch of people watching us as we were helping. Other observers were there, and still they arrested us. So not at all is it that. I'm not at all surprised, though, that we were arrested and then later let off, because let's be honest. This is all about theatrics for the administration, and arrests catch more wind than convictions, and they're selling fear here. And we were within our rights. We were just within our constitutional rights. They were the ones that were actually the domestic terrorists. They were terrorizing our neighbors, and then they continued to terrorize us.
A few days after we spoke with you in January, we did get a statement from the Department of Homeland Security about the medical emergency, and a DHS spokesperson accused both of you of lying to law enforcement at the time by stating that you were nurses. DHS also said that you actually remained secured in the vehicle during the incident. It was agents who rendered assistance. Tippy, I'll start with you. What was your reaction to that statement when it came out?
That it was just another lie that they were telling, that they would take a video. I mean, we do have me in the footage from the Brooklyn Park Police Department surveillance cameras with me out of the vehicle, next to their vehicle, motioning with my hands because I do talk with my hands a lot. And we were directing their movements too, trying to get them to go do things. So you can see me pointing. I didn't lie. I did say that I had medical training, which I do, and I will be able to like support that in any way. But
and I'm a PCA.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of my training.
Right. So, I mean, we obviously had more training to recognize an emergency situation and a seizure with that. But I think them dismissing it just kind of speaks to their dishonesty in the situation and them trying to just tell their version no matter what the camera footage shows. And we saw that throughout the entire Metro surge.
And we showed the video that you were referencing a moment ago. We should be clear. It was taken from a Brooklyn Center police precinct parking lot. Pure coincidence this happened to unfold there. It is tough because this is happening in the very corner of the video. We've zoomed in, we've brightened it a little bit, but we can't necessarily say with certainty what's going on here. But Tippy and Heather, walk us through what you see happening here in this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the hooded figure walking back now right there with following an officer back to the truck. So when it starts, and the video goes in and out because it is a motion censored surveillance camera at the police station. So when cars drive through, it's triggered again. But you can see us at the side of the vehicle, and then the other agent like walks me back to the vehicle, and you can see my hands are free. So, I mean, regardless, again, like we know what we were doing that day. And whatever they wanted to say can be their version of the story, however incorrect and however false and however defamatory towards us, because they were doing it to everybody in that situation and all winter long. So I guess for me, it was like, you can see it. And if that's not the truth that they see or that they felt that they wanted to share about it, then that's on them. But I know where I'm at in that video, and I know that the people who love me and know me can see us in that video.
Ed, I want to bring you in here now because there are questions. The court papers filed by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minneapolis don't spell out why they were requesting having the cases dismissed here. I've been trying to reach out to the U.S. Attorney's Office for a couple weeks. We should note the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minneapolis, very shorthanded. A lot of people who work there have quit this year, some in protest. Ed, do you know why these cases were dismissed?
Thanks, Joe. And unfortunately, I don't have any more insight than you have. I can kind of make some assumptions. I mean, they are shorthanded. They have had a lot of attorneys, frankly, quit in protest, being forced to pursue policies that those attorneys, like, rightly believe were not ethical. You know, I do give credit to whoever made the decision to dismiss it. I mean, the decision to file the charges is made by ICE agents on the ground. Then the case goes to the U.S. Attorney's Office. I think it's pretty clear, if anyone looks at this, any lawyer, that there's not a case that Tippy and Heather did not commit a crime. They were rounded up like many other people, doing nothing wrong, but being in their community, expressing an opinion that the federal government may not agree with, which is not a crime. So I think it's someone looked at it, realize that no crime was committed. They can't get a conviction. In that case, the appropriate next step is to dismiss the case. That's what I would say. Looking at the outside, you know, nothing in the papers indicates why the cases were dismissed. But I think looking at the video before this one, where Tippy and Heather were arrested, it's pretty clear they were doing nothing wrong. They're in their car in a parking lot, which last I checked is not a crime, and suddenly people are coming from all directions and forcing them out of their vehicle. So they certainly weren't the ones committing a crime here. And I think that's painfully obvious. And cooler heads prevailed at the U.S. Attorney's Office, which resulted in the dismissal.
Heather, we have only 30 seconds left here, but what is life like in Minnesota right now?
Well, I mean, I still do go out in my neighborhood and observe. I still have seen some ICE activity in my neighborhood. I haven't seen them arresting anyone or abducting them, but I have seen them patrolling our neighborhood. But we also are seeing people feeling a little bit more relieved. We're seeing our neighbors start to walk around the neighborhood. Tippy just messaged me the other day saying our neighborhood's starting to feel a little bit more normal. And so I think that the ICE activity, while still present, it is not as much as it was before.
Tippy, Heather, Ed, thank you all for joining us this morning with an update on this story we've been following throughout the year. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming up, the Kentucky Derby is just a day away. After the break, we're going to saddle up to all the pomp, the glamour, and of course the fan favorites ahead of the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. That is next. Stay with us. Welcome back. It is time to saddle up for the 152nd Kentucky Derby. The road to the Triple Crown begins tomorrow, and the place to be is Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. And that is where we find NBC sportscaster, host of NBC's Kentucky Derby coverage, Mike Tirico. Mike, it is so good to see you this morning. Let's start with this year's favorite. What should we know about Renegade?
Yeah, Joe, good morning. Well, first off, Renegade starts, not only is Renegade 1 in terms of the odds, 1 in terms of the number, and that's the hole that they'll come out of. The starting gate of 20, Renegade comes out closest to the rail. Of note, 1986 was the last time that a horse out of the one hole in the horse racing terms went on to win the Kentucky Derby. So fighting against that bit of history. As for the horse winner of the Arkansas Derby, Irad Ortiz Jr., who is the jockey, he's been awarded the award, the Eclipse Award, 5 times the last 7 years as the best jockey in America, but he's never won the Kentucky Derby. So is this the time for him? His trainer, Todd Pletcher, has prepared more horses who have come to the starting gate than any other trainer in the history of the Kentucky Derby. So a lot of good things to like about Renegade, but I think the biggest headline, Joe, for this Derby, there's not a super horse. It's somewhat wide open. The experts say 7 of the 20 horses slated for the starting gate have a legit chance at winning.
Yeah, I mean, that's the deal. And I guess being the front runner hasn't necessarily been a great thing over the last few years. We've even seen some long shots take it. What are some of the other horses? Who are some of the other horses we're watching out for?
Yeah, Dylan Dreyer is coming up in a couple of moments. She reminded me that the favorites are 0 for their last 7 in the Kentucky Derby. So maybe you could say the favorites are due. Commandment is a horse. I happen to be watching Chief Wallaby, which is a horse of some interest for me in that group of 7. And so often in the Derby, the best horse doesn't win the race because it's 20 horses who have never gone this distance, 1.25 miles, in front of this many people, 150,000 people, in a race with this many horses. You will not see another race in America all year with 20 horses. So you combine all those factors, and you could be the person who's looked at the horse racing form, very smart, know all the analytics, and still have no idea what's going to happen because the conditions are so different. And that's why this Derby adds a little more drama. And I think when we get close to 7 Eastern time on Saturday night, the horses load in the gate and you have no idea what's going to happen. That's why every year you come back to the Derby for the entertainment, the party, the fashion, but also a pretty darn good sporting event as well.
No kidding. I always make sure I catch those 2 minutes every single year. We should note there's a father and son competing against each other this year. Mike, what should we know about that?
Yeah, really neat story. Any of us who are blessed to be parents know there's nothing that's more honoring than your son or daughter going into the same line of business that you are in, because they've watched you do it and they love what it's about and what it's meant in their lives. And Riley Mott has not 1 but 2 horses who he is training in this Kentucky Derby. Why is that of note? His dad, Bill Mott, Hall of Famer, was the winner of the Kentucky Derby as a trainer last year. As you would expect, Riley grew up around the sport, following his dad's footsteps, and now here in the biggest horse race in America, the Kentucky Derby, father and son are doing the same job on the biggest stage. It's a pretty cool story to follow, and who knows, maybe we'll have a father-son combo as Kentucky Derby winning trainers when all's said and done tomorrow night.
Yeah, maybe a photo finish or something like that. All right, Mike Tirico, good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much. All right, time now for some money news. Apple is seeing green on Wall Street this morning after posting a rather rosy earnings report. NBC News business and economy reporter Allie Canal is here with your Money Minute. Allie, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Yes, pretty big day for Apple. We're seeing shares rising this morning after the company issued a strong revenue outlook, expecting sales to jump as much as 17% next quarter. That's well above what Wall Street was looking for. The company is seeing strong demand for new products, but something to watch in the months ahead. Chip costs are rising and some Mac shortages could persist, which likely means higher prices. Now, as a reminder, CEO Tim Cook will step down September 1st, with longtime executive John Turnus set to take over. And another recall to keep on your radar. Bayer is recalling nearly 800,000 travel-sized bottles of Afrin nasal spray over a child safety risk. According to a new report from the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the packaging is not child-resistant, which could pose a risk of serious injury if swallowed. If you have that 6-millimeter bottle, make sure it's secure and out of reach of kids. You can file for a refund online through Bayer's website, but make sure to snap a photo before throwing it out. Now, no injuries have been reported, but of course, better safe than sorry.
No kidding. All right, Allie, thank you so much. Coming up, we finally made it to Friday. That can mean only one thing here on Morning News Now. When we come back, we're punching your ticket to the latest and greatest from the world of Hollywood just in time for your weekend. Yes, that includes The Devil Wears Prada 2. Everything you simply can't miss. Up next. Finally this hour, time for your weekly can't miss list to look at all the films and shows you need to see this weekend. And joining me this week is David Correa, entertainment correspondent, host of the Husbanter podcast. Good to have you with us. No surprise, but we're starting with this morning, The Devil Wears Prada 2. It is finally out. I saw it earlier this week. I'll chime in here in a moment. You saw it last night. What do you think?
I am obsessed. First of all, happy Devil Wears Prada Day.
There we go. Let's call it that. I like that.
It was so good. We were just chatting in the break about the Easter eggs. If you are a fan of this movie, then you are going to love it because it gives you everything that you need from the previous movie. And you don't have to have seen it very recently, but it helps.
It does help. It helps. The nostalgia is there, bringing back these characters, seeing where they are, how they've changed, how they haven't changed. But I think Miranda Priestley is one of the greatest comedy characters in recent movie history. She does not disappoint. Is that fair to say?
She does not miss a beat. And to see her 20 years later have to deal with all the HR issues.
Right.
I mean, Miranda Priestley does not know how to hang up her own coat.
No, exactly. Oh, yeah, there's the coat, too. There are some wonderful ways that things have evolved that make it absolutely entertaining. Make sure to check it out. All right, let's talk about something a little darker now. Hokum, starring Adam Scott. It's about a man who heads off to a remote hotel to scatter his parents' ashes, but things don't go according to plan. What can you tell us?
Adam Scott, we love him. We know him from Severance. We know him from Parks and Rec. He plays a grieving novelist who checks into a remote hotel or inn. It turns out to be haunted. Now, the reason it's called Hokum is Hokum means nonsense. Okay. And his character believes that a haunted inn is pure nonsense or hokum until he gets proof that it's not. And the lines between folklore and reality get very blurred. It is so scary. It's not really about jump scares. There are some, but it is a psychological, scary film. And Adam even said in one of his premieres, people were literally screaming in the theaters.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, people are into that right now. It doesn't need to be Halloween year-round. Everyone is craving a little bit of that. All right. If you're staying in this weekend, there's plenty to stream. We're going to start with Widow's Bay. It's on Apple. It stars Matthew Rhys and Stephen Root. We actually recently sat down with the cast, the creator, asked about the show's theme. Here's a little of what they had to say.
I just hope that people come away going, it was far more complex than I anticipated. There's a lot of, the themes of the outsiders coming in and, those who not being welcoming of those people.
And I do think one of the themes in this show is the dangers of not knowing one's history.
So, David, that does sound interesting. What more can you tell us about it?
It is great. It's another example of Hokum, though, because Matthew plays a mayor who doesn't believe the folklore or tries to allude to the idea that he doesn't believe the folklore, but I think deep down inside he does, of this creepy town that he runs. And it comes to a head. It is scary, but it is also really, really funny.
Ah, okay.
So you're laughing one minute, and then there's a creepy clown that is scaring the bejesus out of you.
I don't get this new comedy horror thing.
We talk about
me
it all the
entirely,
time.
but I guess it's a thing right now. All right, so you can laugh and you can be scared all in one this weekend. If you're starting to get World Cup fever, there's a British show, 2026, could be for you. Kind of looks like The Office, but takes on the world of sports. What else should we know about it?
Well, this one's great. It comes from the 2011 series 2012, which followed a group of folks who were planning the 2012 Olympics.
Okay.
So these folks are planning the FIFA World Cup. I have not fever but fear because I live in New Jersey and have to commute to New York. So I'm a little nervous about what FIFA's going to do. But as someone, I don't know if you know this, but I plan New York City Pride when I'm not doing this work. So as someone who plans large scale events like this, it's pretty funny. You should definitely check this out. It's on BritBox. It's streaming now. It's hilarious. Hugh Bonneville plays Ian Fletcher, who was in 2012. Great, great cast. Think The Office meets this mockumentary on large-scale events.
And it'll get people in the mood for everything. And speaking of horror, the ticket prices for FIFA are incredibly scary right now, so there's that. Finally, we do want to get you to get your tissues ready for this last one. It's She Dances. It's Steve Zahn, his real-life daughter, Audrey Claire Zahn, father-daughter who repair their relationship during a trip to her dance competition. What more should we know about this?
Well, I love Steve Zahn. He's been in everything from Reality Bites to White Lotus. He's now with his daughter Audrey in this film. It is a tearjerker. He also in the film is Ethan Hawke. Ethan and Steve have this one scene where they talk about friendship, and it makes you want to pick up the phone and call your best friend and just tell them you love them. But it is a movie about grief. It's a movie about loss. It's a movie about reconciliation. It is definitely something that, if it's going to be rainy this weekend, pop it on. You can get it on Prime, YouTube, and Apple TV.
Oh, wow. All over the place. I love that he actually gets to work with his real-life daughter.
Yeah,
How cool is
they
that?
do great. They do a great job.
David, thank you so much. Appreciate it. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but stay with us. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.